Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. As always, I'm your host, RJ, and I'm joined by my champion co-hosts and legendary mates, Scott the Gooner and Rob the Red Devil. How are we this evening, gentlemen? Scott, I'll go to you first.
Doing well. Had a week off football, which was a little bit sad, but I'm well rested. I'm happy to be here and ready to go, boys. Looking forward to tonight.
Just like Arsenal, well rested. Robbie, how are you going?
Oh, what can I say, boys? Positive, COVID positive. That's what I'm. No, but look, touch wood. I've barely had any symptoms, but I have tested positive and joined the COVID crew. But yeah, I'm pumped for the show and ready to talk some football.
Beautiful. What a night we're in for. When there wasn't much Premier League action, definitely didn't see any teams wrap up the title or anything like that. So the main thing is let's focus on everything else but Chelsea tonight. What do you say, boys? Sorry, I was just a bit distracted. I was just looking at this doubles thing that we keep winning. Let's not get distracted. I'm a deflector, Scott.
Look at him roll out the merch to try and cover up their awful performances. Boys, we've got plenty to cover tonight. We have some Premier League action to talk about, although it was limited. We are going to speak about Rafa Benitez. Gonski's got the chop. We'll talk about what next for him and what next for Everton. We'll also cover, of course, the FIFA Pro 11, which has probably the stupidest formation in human history. We'll talk about City, and we'll do a couple of predictions because we do have a few matches before Thursday night. If you are new here, if you haven't been here before, hit that subscribe button. Really helps us. Leave a like on the video as well. Quickly say good evening to Tom. Tom, the boys look pretty good, mate. They're both bouncing back. We've got the concierge here. Evening, my friend. Declared's here. We've got Nip and Sharma. Welcome.
Up the Blues. We'll bounce back. Don't worry.
Big ups to you, man. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. Boys, let's start with the Premier League action. Anything you want to cover? Maybe a certain result for Chelsea, RJ?
Yeah, let's get it off the table nice and early. First of all, I just want to say we didn't play well, obviously, but there is no shame when you come up against the reigning Premier League title winners. And it's not even just that they're reigning champions, that the way that they've been playing, 12 on the trot, the fact that my little victory from that game, it's not only that we only lost 1-0, but we kept to their lowest XG. They've been absolutely dominating everybody that's been there. We haven't been playing to our best. Obviously, key injuries hurt. But I think I was just more disappointed by the fact that I know that we can play better. We did have our moments. If Lukaku was a bit more decisive, if Ziyech knew how to, thread a through ball like we know he can, and ultimately Kevin De Bruyne come back to bite us again. It was a top shot. Kepa arguably could have saved it had he not leant to his right and had to pivot to his left. But these are all ifs and buts, and ultimately we lost in a narrow way to a team that's probably on their way to winning another Premier League title. So disappointed. People are blowing it out of proportion a little bit based on the reaction. But I think some of the criticism's warranted in the sense of Tuchel might have got the team selection a little bit wrong. He kind of alluded it to himself that it wasn't his best display. But equally, some of those players, like I mentioned, the front three just didn't deliver, and we were a little bit outrun in the midfield. And the defence did a pretty good job for a makeshift back line. But again, Manchester City, just too good, and you've got to take your hat off to them.
We've got Ahmad. Sorry, let's go back because comments came as I was clicking. We've got Mo here from the Blue Lounge. Good timing, Mo. We're talking Chelsea. If you're looking for some good Chelsea content, make sure you check out Mo's channel. He does a madness over there. We've got Alex over here. Al, how are you, my friend? Hope you're well rested after no North London derby. Emad reckons you're clutching at straws, RJ, and I agree with Emad because I heard.
What do you mean by that, though?
Well, to me, in there, let's rewind a little bit. You've got a squad. You've got a manager. You should be challenging for a title. And look, you performed admirably. I don't think you were awful by any means, but you gave a lot of what ifs. It was, if Rom did better, if the selection was a little bit better, that's a lot of ifs. At the end of the day, I don't feel from my viewing of the match that City were under the pump.
No, they weren't. They never are at the Etihad, and you've got to respect the fact that they're the best team in England for the last few years. And yeah, it's fair to say that we should be challenging, but again, we were 19 points behind them last season. We bought Lukaku as a solution. He hasn't been firing. He missed a shot Edison saved. He stuffed up a couple of chances in the first half. Had our investment paid off, and had Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Christensen, Mendy all been there, is it a different game? We've shown we can beat them in one-off games, especially in the big ones. But again, I'm not discounting the fact that we weren't good enough. But I, again, have no shame in the fact that we only lost 1-0. I just would have liked to seen a bit more bravery in our approach. We were too conservative, and ultimately we got punished for being too conservative.
Robbie, I'll get your thoughts in just a sec, but I want to ask you then, RJ, I mean, you invested this money on Lukaku. You've got a team that were champions of Europe last season, and I tipped you for the title this season. So I'm not kind of sitting back and saying that this is something expected, because I thought Chelsea would be much better, but you've got so much talent in that squad. I know you've got injuries. We all do at the moment. But what's it going to take then? What do Chelsea need? If you could say maybe 2 key things that you think your team needs, what is it? Because your form has been dire. And I know there's a lot of Chelsea fans in the chat. What's 1 or 2 things that you think, Chelsea fans, your team needs to be competing with City? Because you're not there right now.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, mate. And I'm not hiding from the fact that we should be doing better. And yeah, of course, we need our full squad to compete. But I think we do have a little bit of a depth problem up top. They're out of form. Like, we bought Lukaku as part of the solution, because last season, that's what was one of the key problems. We didn't have a dedicated number 9. For whatever reason, you want to pull it out. Tuchel mentioned the other day, one of the commentators said, are you really utilising Lukaku to his strengths, and is the service coming to him? But Tuchel, as he usually does, insightfully says, it's a team sport, mate, and he's also got to contribute his part. It's not about the service he gets. Sometimes he's got to be the service, and he's got to be a little bit dynamic himself and show us the striker that he was at Inter. So, look, it goes both ways. So for me, I'm thinking that we're probably going to need a little bit of a better understanding and consistency with that front three, because Ziyech and Pulisic started, and both Cho and Mason Mount, there could have been an argument they could have started. At least Mason Mount, who hasn't been in good form, but has he been in worse form than those other 2 players? That's up for debate. So getting that consistency up top, I think, is problem number 1. And number 2, I think we are looking a little bit light in that wing-back system, because obviously Chilwell and James have been key to the successful start to our season and in the last year's Champions League run. So they're the 2 areas of concern, I'd say. But I'm actually hoping we go back to a little bit of a 4-2-2 style setup against teams now that we start having a bit more of a favourable run.
Robbie, Tom says in the chat that it looked like a Man United Lukaku when the ball came near him. Emad reckons there's only one Lukaku. This signing hasn't worked for Chelsea, and something's not working. Now, I've seen online things about Pulisic's, I think it was his father or his agent, coming out and saying that he's not performing because of the position he's being played in. We all know what happened with Lukaku in the interview. Mason Mount didn't look thrilled over the weekend. Are the wheels falling off at Chelsea, Robbie? Are the wheels falling off, or is this just a blip?
Look, I wouldn't say the wheels are falling off. I think that's a bit harsh. A blip, I don't think it's a blip either, because I told you, I think you can probably go as far back as the 1-1 draw against us from when they started this blip. So it has been a bit of a long blip now. Yes, there have been a few good performances, but there's been a lot of draws, a lot of drop points in that time, and that's probably where they've lost the actual title race in that time. But look, I watched mainly the first half of the game, and look, I just thought exactly what RJ said. I think Chelsea went up to it, and I thought City were very dominant. Like, I actually thought it was nearly like watching the first game. They were so dominant in that first half. Yes, I've seen the Lukaku. He had that chance, could have buried it. Obviously, good save from Edison. But like I said, it was 1-0. But if you weren't watching that game, it could have been a lot more as well. Like I said, City dominated the hell out of us, and we only lost 2-0 that day, and it could have been 20-0. So sometimes, like, the score doesn't always reflect the game. But look, again, what RJ said, they've been the most consistent and best team in England for the past good half of a decade. So,
well, you know how, you know as well though, just on that whole squad depth thing I was talking about, you've got a player like Jack Grealish who hasn't been set in the league a light. Similar cost to Lukaku. He misses that chance in the first half. Kepa's only real save that he had to make, which was a good save at the time. But you look at us, and we talk about the good squad we have, but the fact that City can carry someone like Grealish, and as if they haven't skipped a beat. Lukaku doesn't fire for us, and look where we are. You know what I mean? So we do demand better, but we're not at that level yet. I just want to see improvement now because I've conceded in my own mind that we are still not a league behind, but we are still behind. And sometimes you just got to respect the ruthlessness and consistency that Man City bring. But it is what it is, and I'll just put this one behind me.
Before you put it behind you, last thing I want your thoughts on before we move on to another fixture. Julius saying Chelsea should sell Lukaku, Werner, Ziyech. We'll get you around 100 to 120 mil, clear up a ton of wages. Then you should promote youth and buy smart. Is that the answer? Because, I mean, if you sell Lukaku, who are you going to bring in? And is that person going to adapt to the Premier League? What do you think of Julius's comment there?
Just quickly, you'd want more than 120 for those three players, considering one of it cost 100 million by himself. So,
you have to wonder though what Lukaku's done to his transfer value, and Chelsea potentially may have to take a hit. Your thoughts on that, RJ, before we move on?
Yeah, just quickly. Look, it's a common sentiment among the fan base. It's that whole front three problem, and he's highlighted three players in that. Could you get more? Probably. But if we couldn't, that's the money you get. You look at someone like an Armando Broja to bring back into the system. You look at maybe trying to activate the release clause now. We're paying for Haaland, for example, now because we missed out on him last season. So there are some players that we are constantly being linked with in those attacking positions. But my honest view is that we probably do need to prioritise in the centre-back region because that's the fulcrum of any sort of title-winning team. You need to have a stable defence. So as long as we sort out our CB situation first, and then I think you work your way up to the pitch because Chilwell will come back. Reece James is around the corner. Our centre midfield situation, yes, Kovacic is back now. Kante's back now, but you know he's only one minor injury away from missing the next 3 months because that's just the way he is. That area of the pitch to me needs to be an area of focus, and then we start to evaluate the front three as we get to the back end of the season.
Right, let's jump on. Plenty of good Chelsea chat there. We obviously saw, and I'm not going to give too much airtime to these, Liverpool with a convincing 3-0 over Brentford. Will give them confidence during AFCON. Newcastle and Watford with a 1-1 draw. That was a 6-pointer that just turned into nothing for either of them, really. 1-1 is what it is. We will talk about Everton in a moment, but while we're talking about our teams, let's get your thoughts on United's result, Robbie, because it was all going so well. 2-0 and you messed it up.
Mate, what can I say? That is United this season. That just sums us up. Just such a roller coaster, such a circus. That first half, 35 minutes, when I say we were perfect, I mean, that's probably the best. And that's the best 35 minutes I've watched us play this whole season. Everything was working. Nice, intricate passes, making runs in behind, crosses. We scored an early goal again for a change. Everything was perfect. Villa didn't even have a sniff in our half, let alone they didn't even see the ball. Honestly, it was just a perfect 35 minutes. For about the last 8 minutes, just before half time, we let Villa have straight away a few quick chances. And then straight off the bat of half time, that was straight out of the blocks, and they had pressure. We're under the pump. We just looked like a completely different team. Somehow we ended up scoring a second goal, which against the run of play, to be honest, but it was a great finish from a double for Fernandes. And then I was like, okay, that's our nail in the coffin. You know, we put it to bed. We've got a bit of a buffer here. We should game manage this. What happens? Coutinho comes on the field, a goal and assist later, and we've dropped points. And mate, I really wanted to do a match reaction to this, but I would have got kicked off the show because there would have been a lot of beeping, put it that way, because this game really came with it. I really, really got cranky after this game, man. It's just so frustrating how there's no game management. And it's not just with Ralf. It's been like this for the past couple of years, mate. Just as soon as I got that next goal, I said, here we go. We're going to stuff this up. I felt like the Everton game last year when we were 2 or 3-0 goals up.
I'll never forget that, Rob.
Oh, and like when we got that second goal, I was actually like, yeah, all we have to do is just pass the ball around, play exactly right. We literally bottled the game. And I said, for me, that's how I just got to accept it this year, that's how United's going to play. The bar's being dropped. I actually seriously think we're not going to make top 4 this year. I reckon we're going to miss out. I reckon we're going to get 5th possibly. I know it's still early days. There's a lot of points up for grabs and anything can happen. But the way we're playing and the games we should be winning, we're not winning. Like I said, just for instance, this last 3 weeks, 1-1 draw to Newcastle, a loss at home to Wolves, a draw against Aston Villa. These are the games that we need to be winning 3 points. Because I think in March, we've got another one like we had a couple months ago when we've got City, Tottenham, Liverpool, all back-to-back. So, look, if we can't win these games, I don't see us getting all full points out of those games. So, like I said, that's United this season. I'm going to have to live with it and enjoy it while we can.
Wow. I actually, for once, I don't even want to put the boot into United anymore because on the flip side, I wanted to quickly talk about Villa because they did some big business after the sale of Jack Grealish, and I don't think that initial business did a whole bunch for them. I don't think it went to plan. They've now done some great business with Lukaku and bringing in Coutinho, who has shown on that performance that he's still got it. I mean, we'll need to see if he can sustain that, but they keep doing good business. And they keep getting good results. And I think they're a team that is on the up. So I just wanted to acknowledge them as well. Of course, it was funny that you guys dropped that 2-0 lead, but big up to Villa. And just wanted to quickly say good evening to my man Laurie, and not feeling well. But it is nice to have you join the stream, man. So rest up. Hope you get better soon. RJ, do you love seeing United in the mud as much as
me? You know what? You'll love this. You both will. They absolutely Tottenhamed them. They doubled, mate. I had to attack them both here. It was a job and a half. I can't believe I saw 2-0. I'm thinking, okay, fine. They got their win, whatever. But Villa, like you said, they're back on the up, and credit to their board for the decisiveness in their transfer activity. And I do hear on the transfer rumour mill that it might not be their last piece of business for the month. So they've been absolutely ruthless. I wish all of our clubs could be like that. But, hey, credit to them.
We've got Vlahovic coming to Arsenal, but we'll talk about that later.
Maybe.
Quickly, before we look at some other results, I want to mention the North London derby, because I think it would be hypocritical of me not to give some thoughts on that, because I put the boot into Liverpool over the semi-final, because Liverpool played the system, right, with the false positives. There was only one difference between what Liverpool and Arsenal did. Liverpool lied about it with the false positives. We just absolutely took the mick, chucked it on the table and hoped for the best, and we exploited the loophole. Both teams exploited the system. The only difference is we didn't lie about it. Do I think it's fair that derby was postponed? No, because teams have been impacted throughout the season by COVID. Some of our damage was self-inflicted. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is good enough to play. We loaned him. We've absolutely taken the piss by loaning Pablo Mari out today. He's gone up. He went to Italy, I think. We've loaned him out today, someone who was fit. But none of these players are players that were playing regularly. I'm still not impressed with what we did. Okay, for banter, it was funny. For us as a fixture, it's great because we do have, as Jurgen Klopp acknowledged, a full week's rest before the semi. But this could also flip. If we lose this semi-final, after having the 4 weeks rest and Liverpool playing, and after pulling this stunt to get the fixture postponed, that's a massive boot to our confidence. Massive boot to our confidence. We'll then go into potentially the North London derby with Son fit, and Son loves playing Arsenal, and Spurs being stronger, because Spurs aren't strong at the moment either. I actually think we potentially could have taken them if we played them, or snatched a draw. But now they'll be stronger and they'll be more fired up too. And I just don't like the fact that it makes it look like we feared Spurs. Because we should not fear Spurs. They're a club that hasn't won anything in my lifetime. So I don't think we should be sending a message that we fear that kind of club. I actually don't think it was about Spurs. I think it was more about Liverpool. But it doesn't make it right. And they need to fix these rules. They need to tighten up the loopholes. For me, they've got to ride it out this season. And I don't know what you boys think about this. We've got to ride out the season because too many teams have exploited it. They've postponed fixtures already. It's not fair to say no more postponements. But COVID's not going away. For me, after this season, no fixture should ever be postponed. No fixture should be postponed. They should extend the amount of players that clubs can have in their Premier League squad, add 5 more players, and go with it. Because it's becoming a farce now, and we were part of that farce. Banter aside, we shouldn't have had that fixture postponed, but it was about Liverpool, not about Spurs. Robbie, you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And like I said, as much as I hate them as a rival, Leeds, I have to take my hat off to them this season because not only did they get a great away win to West Ham, but they had a 15-year-old on their bench, and they had a lot of academy players on their bench. And they fielded aside, and they still won away to West Ham. So as much as I hate Leeds, credit to them, considering what happened, exactly what you said, how you guys had postponed. They fielded the team like we've all been calling for. Play your kids, play your academy players, get the numbers in, and just play football. So you got to take the hat off that they actually done that this week, and they won the games for a bonus. So, yeah.
And kudos to, just quickly in that game, kudos to Harrison for that brilliant hat-trick. Great to see that. Good on him. I know David would kill us if we didn't acknowledge it. Robbie agrees with me, RJ. Emad saying 100% you play, obviously not die literally, but you play. 100% everyone plays. What do you think, RJ? No, your team's been battered by this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm biased, mate. Look, you wrapped it up well, mate. Nice and neutral. I liked it. You know it would have been a laughing stock if you sat here and defended the situation and you're staunchly defending against. You can't because, you know, from a competition integrity point of view, that there's massive questions now. There's a lot of gamesmanship going on. Yep. There's a lack of clarity. Tuchel said it. You just want clarity and consistency. Tell us what it is. Now it's the whole 13 players, but you've got situations with Leeds fielding youngsters. You've got so many examples of teams fielding under 23s and below. For a Premier League team to not say that they can't field that amount of players, I even read the statement from the Arsenal postponement, and it seemed that they took into account not just the COVID, but AFCON situation as well as injuries. Now, hang on. Postponements aren't supposed to consider your injury situation. This was meant to be for COVID impact. We had 7 players COVID impacted, but we still supposedly had enough players, and they went forward with the Wolves game. And it's not even that. Like you said, you get a full week for the Liverpool match, and we all saw how close you were to beating City because you had a few days extra rest. City played 48 hours before. They looked totally sluggish. And then you see the City side, what happens when they get a few days extra rest, they can press you off the park. So for people to turn around and say, oh, well, it's only a few days extra and whatever, that makes a huge difference in professional football when they're playing back-to-back. So if you're a club and you can get that point of difference advantage, I don't blame the clubs for trying to exploit it. I blame the system for allowing it to happen. So, yeah, they got to do something about it. And Gary Neville, to his credit, I'm not a big fan of his work, but his comments have been spot on. It's about time that we've got to pull people up on this because it's just unacceptable.
Yeah, but this a little bit. I don't buy anything Gary Neville says. Like this is
on face value. I'm saying the comments.
I know what you're saying, but I mean his motives are all about Sky Sports and their fixture. That's what they wanted.
You've upset Robbie. He's gone, mate. That's okay,
Rob's about the dummy. Look, I want to just quickly acknowledge this because Spurs fans have been crying all over social media and. We love a good Spurs fan crying. But at this point, we got kicked out of the Conference League for it. That's different rules. The Conference League has its own rules, and I think they've got better rules. Because if you can't field a team in the Premier League, I think they should adopt a similar method. You forfeit. In saying that, match-going fans suffer when you forfeit a fixture. So, yeah, look, it's something that the Premier League needs to fix and make sure
Great comment here by Tom, by the way.
Yep, Tom is bang on the money. Bang on. So, boys, before we move on and do some predictions for the 3 games we've got between now and Thursday, was there anything else you wanted to quickly mention or acknowledge from the fixtures that we've seen? I think we've wrapped most of it up.
Just the fact, congratulations to Norwich for putting a boot in Everton, who've been in horrendous.
100%.
I know we've got Everton fans here. It's not an attack at you and Mike and the Blue Boys Network, but geez, they've been woeful lately. And Norwich, to their credit, they're not going down without a swing.
Well, we saw from that result, Rafa's gone now. It wasn't a matter of if; it was a matter of when. It was. I saw Simon Hill put out a tweet. It was an appointment that just never felt or looked right. I don't think the fans were behind him from the get-go. I don't think he got his squad right, and it's just failed spectacularly. There were a lot of rumours that came out about him going back to Newcastle already. Now, for me, I think that would be a terrible move for Newcastle.
No chance.
This is a guy that's just been sacked, so I don't make much of that. But the favourites at this point to take over is actually Roberto Martinez from Belgium. And if
Belgium's come out and said they're not going to let it happen at the moment anyway. They want him for the World Cup.
Look, if money talks, and if he breaks the contract, they would just need to pay a hefty compensation.
Why would you go to Everton when Belgium with all their class? He's been good with them. They haven't won a trophy, but he's got one of the best international teams in world football. He's got the World Cup. They're already qualified. He's got them there. Why would you drop down to Everton again? Like, he's already done it.
Look, the other side of it is, returning back to the Premier League has its own aura about it. International games, how many times do you manage an international game versus the week-to-week grind of the World Cup League?
But I think it's a downgrade for him still.
See, to me, I don't think it is, because, this is the league that's got Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, so I snuck that in, Thomas Tuchel. Like, you've got the bee's knees in the Premier League. It's the place to be. Why waste that time with Belgium, who, let's face it, they're going to win the World Cup. Belgium are the biggest what-ifs.
But they're within a shout, Scott. They are within a shout. This is their only time. I understand that side of it.
So why do you go to Everton for? You're not going to win anything at Everton either.
But you're in the Premier League.
And what?
You're back in that league, man.
That's like saying, if the Norwich job came up, why don't you go for the Norwich job? Because it's not far off.
I don't think Everton are being relegated, Rob.
They're not far off it.
They're not getting relegated.
Hot tip from Rob.
But they're not doing
Everton
anything.
For relegation.
Everton do nothing every year. They don't ever make Europe for how many years now? So I don't know. I just don't see that.
I actually think it's flipped. The script is flipped. I think that, do Everton really want him? I know that, look, he left in pretty controversial terms with the fan base. You listen to Talk Sport. That wasn't a very happy breakup. You know what I mean? Like, he left pretty badly. And you know what it's like when managers come back when they didn't leave on good terms. And I don't think he's necessarily a world beater. I actually think if it was my advice, who would I pick him?
Lampard.
I'd go interim and bring. No, honestly, no, not Lampard. I wouldn't want him to go into that mess at the moment. No, thank you. Great. I think he's an up-and-coming great manager. Stay away from that club at the moment. They're a mess.
Big Sam.
I would go. No, not Big Sam. I'd bring Duncan in for the rest of the year.
That's what I think.
He relates to that club, Scott. And you know what? That fan base needs some rallying behind, and I think he would put a rocket right up them and get them to start firing, I think.
I don't know if they need a rocket, though. I think they need more than that. They need a tactical overhaul. And is Duncan the man to do that? Look, personal interest for me, if Martinez takes over Everton, rumours are Thierry Henry would be his assistant manager, which to me, to see Vieira and Henry in managerial roles in there would be brilliant. So
they didn't back Benitez, Scott. I feel sorry for him. In the 7 months he was there, he got no money at all. Nobody. They put money in there years ago. They got Townsend. They got Damari Gray.
For like 2
good
million
players.
Yeah.
But that's right. Like, they haven't backed him. So if I'm Martinez, even if they reached out to him, I'm like, well, are you even going to back me? Because you didn't back the last guy. And we know
they just got rid of Lukaku now, who I've always rated. Like, he got cancer out of the team. goes one day straight. Villa's laughing with that, man. That
100%. So that's what I mean. Like, cut your losses off this season. You're not going to win anything. Just get someone that knows the club to steady the ship, and then reassess the situation come next season. But we'll see.
Crazy times ahead, gents. Crazy times ahead. Let's quickly give some predictions for these 3 fixtures. RJ, we'll let you do the honours because the first fixture we've got is Brighton hosting your boys, Chelsea.
Great game. This one awaits. I think we will bounce back because Brighton are missing a couple of key players in the middle of the park. I know Basuma is obviously not there. So I would be inclined to think that we will respond. And it's going to be tougher than you think, but I will lock in a 2-0 to Chelsea.
You took the words right out of my mouth. 2-0 Chelsea.
Meatloaf.
Yeah, no, I agree with 2-0 as well. Just a quick mention, because I've seen Brighton with that Crystal Palace game. I don't know if anyone's seen that team goal, but I reckon they'll get nearly the team goal of the season. Every player on that field touched the ball. Obviously, nicely finished by Conor Gallagher, but that was just a really, really nice team goal.
Yeah. Did he make our Premier League best 11? He didn't, did he?
I think he just missed out, but after that goal,
that's what legend has it, Rob. He scored that goal as a response of being left out of our squad. So.
Oh, dear. What about you, Rob? What was your tip?
Yeah, I said 2-0 as well.
Oh, 2-0. Oh, geez. All 3 of us in agreement. Chuck a bet on that one. Leicester hosting Spurs. This, again, will be an interesting one. 2 teams that would really like these 3 points when looking at that table. I'm going for 1-1 draw in this one, though. I can't split them. What about you, Rob?
Do Spurs have any of their players back? I don't know. Do you know?
Not Son. I don't know about Dyer. I'm not sure. Maybe Alex could chuck it in the chat. I know Marty would be watching his Mariners at the moment, so
Look,
not sure.
I'm going to go for very tight. I'm going to go for Spurs 2-1. Not confident.
RJ?
I'm going the other way around. The Foxes at the King Power. Spurs looking a bit deflated from the other day. I'm backing Rodgers here.
Jeez, there you go. Alex has said that Son and Dyer are out.
Huge.
That will put them in dire straits, to be honest. We'll see. Brentford hosting Man United. It's only fair that we let you go first, Robbie.
2-0 Brentford. No, I'm joking. No, look.
Locked in now, too bad.
It would not surprise me, man. The way we are, look, we need, every game I say, we need to win this. And, mate, I think I'm more scared of losing this just because of the crap I gave you at the start of the season. So, yeah, we definitely need to win this. But I'm just going to edge it out. 1-0 United.
What about you, RJ?
No, United won't keep a clean sheet, I don't think, on this one away. I know firsthand we fluked our way to a clean sheet that time with Mendy, Super Mendy, but I reckon I'll be at least good for 1 goal. So let's lock a 1-1 draw.
I'm going 2-1 Man United. Interesting news coming out of Brentford as well that they're getting close to seeing Ericsson on a 6-month month, I think it was. I would absolutely love to see him back in the Premier League, all rivalry side.
I actually was surprised because I actually seen it like 2 weeks ago before this. I seen something like he came out and said, I'm striving to make the Denmark World Cup team. I'm like, I don't even know. I thought this guy was actually going to like retire. He couldn't play anymore. And then now I've seen the Brentford links. So, yeah, I was just shocked because I thought he was physically had to retire after what happened.
It'd be a great news story to see him back in the Premier League.
Yeah, so yeah, look,
absolutely.
Very nice, man.
And look, we've seen Coutinho come back and make a mark. He's still got it. No reason Christian Eriksen couldn't, and I know all 3 of us would wish him, definitely wish him well if he returned.
Hey, just quickly, talking about goals of the past few days, did you see that James Ward-Prowse free kick?
Oh, my God, wow.
I went to bed literally 3 minutes before that happened. I couldn't believe it.
We'll talk about this in our United group chat. And like, in NFL, how like they just buy like someone to do a goal kick. You'd buy that guy just for like dead ball situation.
Just for spot kicks, yeah, exactly.
He's just a freak.
So, what was your prediction, Robbie? It was
1-0 United.
RJ?
1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
And I said 2-1, didn't I?
Yeah.
2-1.
I'm getting a bit dodgy in my old age. Let's quickly have a look at the Premier League table, because one of the things that we put out when promoting this episode was the question, is the league done? And there is a poll in the live chat as well. I'm not sure what the results are with that at this point, but is the league done? Is this Man City's league?
Was it? What were the two options? 100% yes and absolutely. Were they the two options? So
let me have a look. We've got 50% of people saying there's still plenty of time. 50% of people saying Man City. But I think the vote locked a little bit before. Anyway, so is the league done, boys? That's what I want to ask. And I want to chuck up a comment from Julius. Julius is saying Pep needs... Sorry, I'll swap our faces, Rob. I know you get a bit precious about that. Pep needs to leave City. If you take City out of the league, it would have been insanely close. Even Arsenal would have been in the title conversation. City killing the game. Look, with all due respect and in the nicest way possible, you couldn't fathom the league without City now. They are a juggernaut. They are the pinnacle. For me, I like having a team like that in the league because it gives you something to push towards. And to say they're ruining the game, I mean, people said when Roman came in and splashed the cash that Chelsea were ruining the game. When, United and Arsenal had a bit of a monopoly on the league, we were ruining the game. This dominance comes and goes, in my opinion.
I think it's from a point of envy, though, Scott. Like I read it more of I'm an envious fan. You take Pep out of the equation, all of a sudden it's a bit closer. I think just factually speaking, they're just in a league of their own at the moment.
Yeah, they're too good.
It's a farmers league.
Look, I see that about Liverpool. You know what I mean? And I was listening again to Andy Townsend, I think, this morning, and I was talking about, is Klopp more closer to leaving Liverpool than Pep leaving City? And I sort of buy into that logic because City, the juggernaut they are, they just keep firing. And Klopp might be thinking, is Salah on the way out? Have I milked the cow for all it's worth? If Pep and his City team continue to keep winning, what is there left for me to achieve here? So I think Klopp's probably more likely to leave Liverpool than Pep to leave City. What do you boys think of that?
I could see Klopp at Real Madrid one day, and I could see Pep back at City. I don't even know why. I could see Pep going not back at City, back at Barca. I could see him going back once they've cleaned up their mess, and I could honestly see Jurgen Klopp at Real Madrid.
I could see Klopp at Madrid. I think I see Pep staying with City for a while. I think he's happy. He's winning trophies.
I could see him at PSG, Rob. Maybe money to spend, good quality players.
That's a fair share. I just think that he's happy there. He gets everything he wants. They'd be happy because he's delivering. Look, the question was, is the title done? I can nearly say 100% yes now. How rare would it be for them to give up a 13-point? Well, even if you take them, I know there's games.
8 points with Liverpool.
8 points. Yes, it's not crazy, but it's just City don't drop that many points. You know what I mean? Like, we're confident. I remember, I think it was the year that they just, it was the 100 versus 99 against Liverpool year. And, Liverpool was so far in front. I was confident saying that year, City will run them down and they'll win the Premier League. And, yeah, they've done it by a point only, but you just don't see – I don't see any of these teams doing that to City. I don't see them dropping that many points. Again, if Chelsea had the win or maybe even drop points on the weekend.
Just too ruthless, City, mate.
They are, man. They've
put the little teams away as well.
They've got everything. Yeah. That's it. They're ruthless. They're really good. And like I said, taking Pep away, that would have been like taking Fergie away all those years ago or Wenger away. It's not going to happen until he wants to leave, man. And if they're going to continue to win, why would he leave?
It's a good point from Eddie, though, about that Arsenal-Man U period. There was a rivalry. I think what City are lacking is a clear and consistent rival. And, I mean, we're saying that now. Liverpool are doing okay with AFCON. They could get that margin down to 8. If City drop some points, it's down to 5. I think Liverpool are the rival, but City have just been that little bit too good. So I do think the league needs City to have a worthy rival. And I honestly thought that was going to be Chelsea this year. And
so right.
But it just hasn't happened that way. So, Rob, the league's done for you. It's Man City's.
Yeah, look, that's just being honest, man. I just don't see him dropping that many points. And I think when they do have their big games, like how they had Chelsea in the weekend, I don't see them losing. Maybe draws if dropping points there, but they're still not. They're not going to let anyone gain points on them, kind of thing.
It's done for me too. After watching them still win when we dominated them up and down the pitch, they're too good. RJ, is it dead?
Well, exactly. You couldn't beat them at their weakest time.
Yeah.
Like physically speaking, they got away with it. They showed us up. They're just a team that knows how to win and then the business of winning titles. So I back us, like our team, in terms of one-off games or in terms of cup competitions, but 38-game seasons are a totally different beast and they've mastered it recently.
Yeah, interesting. Boys, we've covered a fair amount of stuff tonight and we've done it in good time. Before we do we've got a quick fire each. Is there anything you guys think we've missed or that you wanted to chuck in?
You just quickly bring up that FIFA team we wanted to discuss.
That's right.
Quickly.
I knew there
That
was
really not so well balanced FIFA Pro 11 team.
Yeah, yeah. Give me half a second to bring that tab up.
It's not very top heavy.
No, it was. I mean, we copped a bit of flack. I know Declare gave us a bit of flack over our combined team. But tell you what, at least we tried to honour the positions.
I think so. I feel a lot better by looking at our team compared to that in terms of the intention.
Just a quick question for you. How does Lewandowski, even though I think he deserves it, how does he get the FIFA Best Player of the Year but doesn't get the Ballon d'Or? I don't understand that. And then I didn't understand the whole thing. Like, I don't know if anyone's seen. They had like three of the players. I think it was Messi, Ronaldo, and Lewandowski, who they put their points for. So when Messi got his Ballon d'Or, he said, "Oh, this should have been Lewandowski's," but
last year. He meant for last year, though.
Okay, last year. I thought it was...
So does that context make sense, right?
Okay.
Obviously, if he meant it this year, why would he vote for it? Exactly.
But yeah, still, I don't understand he got FIFA Player of the Year, but he doesn't get the Ballon d'Or. It just makes no sense.
Well, same with Donnarumma. How does Mendy get Goalkeeper of the Year and Donnarumma gets in there? So make it make sense. Put it that way.
No, but Donnarumma got the Goalkeeper of the Year.
Did he? Oh, mate, look.
Mendy got the FIFA Pro men's goalkeeper.
Okay, yeah, but he got like the Ballon d'Or one kind of goalkeeper, whatever it was.
Boys, this is what happens when you want to give everybody an award. This is what happens when there's more awards than there are matches in the season. Everyone gets an award. They overlap. I look at that World 11 and it just has no integrity. All I look at that and think is they couldn't make up their mind between the attacking players, so they thought, let's chuck the stupidest formation in human history out and go with that. Look, I don't think any of those players aren't good enough to be there, but I just think you had to sacrifice one of them for the formation. And for me, it probably would have been Ronaldo who you sacrificed from that. Him or Haaland.
Yeah, same.
For me, Ronaldo or Haaland. Is that who you would have sacrificed to, RJ?
Haaland, actually, like in terms of the stats on their own and experience, he's going to be there every year probably going forward. But yeah, I would have picked Lewandowski as the front target man for sure. Yeah.
So that's fine, mate. That Italian call, mate.
I looked at and big ups to Chelsea. Got a few players in there as well. United, obviously, Arsenal didn't. I'm waiting for that.
You have to look. You look at that team, and you have to say, I'd say a good 90% of those players there. Look, I thought Alaba was a bit of a outfield shout. Like I didn't expect to see him in there, but the rest I think is pretty decent, man.
Yeah, I like this from Laurie getting Kevin Keegan formation.
But what the problem with this is, if this is the World Men's 11, it's meant to be a team. Would you ever play a team with 4 attacking players like that in that formation? Like I don't know. To me, it goes against the integrity of trying to pick the best team, not the best 11 players.
Exactly.
Doesn't Mbappe have a shout, boys?
Who? Mbappe?
Not for me this year.
Well, there would have been 5 at the front. Then it would have been losing another player.
Yeah, look, I mean, I have no major issues with the team besides the stupid formation. And I just would have dropped one of those guys at the front and put another defender in, perhaps. I don't know. Or
midfielder.
Yeah, I don't know who I would have put in at this point, but
unless they put Messi, they could have dropped him as more of like an attacking 10
absolutely
sitting behind those 3.
Well said. Well said, RJ. Smartest thing you've said on this pod, mate.
Pack it up, mate.
Just leave.
Move on.
Quick
Look,
fires,
boys.
boys, or what?
Sorry?
We have the quick fires, or we're still going?
It is quick fire time. We've got one each tonight. I'm happy to go first. My missus put some Spotify playlists on this afternoon while we were getting some stuff done around the house. She put on a 90s playlist. I want to put it to you, boys. Which one of these decades is the GOAT in terms of music? 80s, 90s, thousands, or a different one?
90s for me.
You're in the 90s? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
RJ?
I'd probably say the thousands for me.
And boys, we're all different because I'm the 80s. Because then I
Really?
jumped into the 80s one. Some
Rock.
Queen in there. There were some
Yeah.
absolute bangers. There were some good songs in there. I think Vanilla Ice was in there. Mate, if Vanilla Ice and Queen, what more do you want? Gunnar Eddie is saying the 90s.
Yeah, definitely the 90s, man. 90s had all the best music.
Well, the good pop groups are in the 90s, but
Yeah,
I think
the
of all the
pop,
Ushers and all
R&B,
of those sort of
pop.
house music stuff.
Yeah.
It's all-
Even the good dance music was in the 90s as well.
My man Laurie's a big music connoisseur. He's given the 90s the edge. Julius with some excellent advice for all of you. Hit that like button. Please do so. It helps the video. Tom saying late 80s, early 90s. Alex into the Beatles at the moment, so he's going 70s.
You asked an impossible question, though, Scott, because, we like to straddle between, time periods.
No straddling, mate. It's my
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I could picture him listening to the Backstreet Boys. He'd love that. Let's go, RJ.
All right, movie theme. Keep it cool. Who would you pick for someone to be the narrator of your movie?
You go first, Scotty.
David Attenborough, mate, because I'm an animal.
You are a bit of an animal.
David Attenborough.
What was that director you said?
No, like a narrator, someone to narrate your movie.
Oh, geez, man. Look, I'm going to go original. It has to be Morgan Freeman, man. He's the man.
Yeah, he's too good. I'd actually go him or Denzel Washington.
Yeah, Denzel Washington. Morgan Freeman's the man, bro. Every time when you say narrator, I just think of Morgan Freeman. Yeah. You gotta go.
Shawshank Redemption, I think. That's it.
Look,
All right.
I got two very quick ones. This is a very quick one. All right, so what deodorant brand, boys?
What was that?
What deodorant brand do you use?
I don't use any. Oh, El Natural, mate.
He's never been clean, Rob. Come on.
Nah, Dove. I use my Dove roll-on, mate.
Roll on.
Yeah, I use a roll-on. I don't like this. The spray, actually, I have an allergic reaction to aerosol sprays on my skin. Yeah, so I need to use my Dove, mate.
Nice.
Well, whenever we're angry at you, we're just going to spray you up.
Spray
Mate.
you with aerosol.
I'll give you a bit of a spray, don't worry. But Rexona for me. Rexona.
Mate, Links Africa all the way.
Africa.
Mate, but if you'd asked me when I was 12, I would have said Links Africa, Robbie.
Mate, it has Links Africa every week.
Links Java.
Whatever's
on half price. Whatever's half price of Woolies, mate.
I got one more quick one, boys. It's a football one. Which continent has the best trio? So Europe, I'm putting up Ronaldo, Lewandowski, and Mbappe. Africa, Mane, Salah, and Mahrez. And South America, Messi, Suarez, Neymar.
Can you repeat it?
So which continent has the best trio? Africa, South America, and Europe. So Europe is Ronaldo, Lewandowski, and Mbappe. Africa is Mane, Salah, and Mahrez. And South America, Messi, Neymar, and Suarez.
I really like Africa's, but Mahrez for me lets it down a bit. They just need someone a bit better than him. I'm probably going to go Europe.
Based on those three, so not the continents, but just those players that you've picked within those continents, I'd probably say, Europe, probably, yeah.
Look, my bias says Europe, but I actually think probably the best things would actually be the South American one, only because they've actually all three played and actually worked and won big trophies with it. So, but look, I would pick Europe as well.
Good point.
Gentlemen, it's been a big show. As always, for those who have tuned in, thank you for jumping in. We are back on Thursday night. The boys are back. I won't be here on Thursday, but I know the boys will put in an absolute cracker of a show for you. So make sure you come in. There's plenty of football to talk about. Potentially some big transfers that we'll be able to talk about too. So make sure you're back on Thursday at 8:30 Aussie time, 9:30 UK time for that. RJ, do you have any closing thoughts?
No closing thoughts. Another great chat as always, and hope to see you guys on Thursday.
Robbie,
Be good or be good at it. See you on Thursday.
that's it until Thursday. Enjoy your football and take care and look after yourselves. See you later, guys.
Ciao.